Hey, Gym Brats. Welcome back to another episode of the Gym Brats podcast presented by gymowners.com. I'm your host, Hannah Leahy. Today, our episode is going to be about the positives and negatives to come out of my fitness journey. And while most of it has been positive, there are some negative things that have happened that hopefully, if I talk about them here, you can relate or you can avoid some of the mistakes I made along the way. If you're on this journey with me, let's go ahead and get into the podcast. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with the positives because I don't know about you guys, but I prefer talking about positive things. So let's start there. So what are the positive things that have come out of me being into fitness? So first of all, confidence. My confidence has gone up so much, and not just because I look a little different, but just knowing what I'm capable of in the gym has transferred over to other areas of my life. Like the fact that I can put 225 pounds on my back and squat it is so empowering that it transfers over to other areas of my life where I just feel more confident. Also, just the fact of like walking into a room with muscle on your body just really does something for your mental health. Like it makes me feel literally more powerful. And that transfers over to my confidence because I'm like, you know what? I'm not the average person. Like I have some muscle. I feel really good about that. And it just makes me feel more confident walking into a room, especially a room of men, because I'm like, I could probably lift more than some of them. So that's always a plus. I recommend lifting for the confidence boost, no matter like what you look like. It's going to help your confidence. Secondly, and most importantly to me actually, is the discipline that I've gained by going to the gym. Before going to the gym, was someone who would only eat things that sounded good, that only ate things because they tasted good. I just followed my cravings. I didn't really work out. I worked out because of sports. I was in cheerleading and gymnastics. So if I didn't have to, I wouldn't, until I started my fitness journey. And then all of that changed. So once I started going to the gym, I started lifting consistently. And that's the key, is to do anything consistently. I started eating healthy. And then after a few months of like really, really tough discipline, it became super easy to want to do those things. Like before bodybuilding, I was the type of person who would go like 5 hours without eating and then be like, wow, I'm hungry. Oreos sound good, and eat like a whole sleeve of Oreos. Like that was me before I got into fitness. And you know what? I don't do that anymore because my body craves things that are good for me. So whenever I sit down or get ready to make a meal, I prioritize protein and then some carbs and some vegetables. And that's what my body's used to, and that's what it likes now. Obviously, that's easier said than done. My biggest piece of advice would be to just stick it out for 2 months. Be really, really strict on yourself for 2 months. You might actually, no, for sure, you're going to feel like you're fighting yourself every time you go to eat a meal, every time you don't want to go to the gym. It literally feels like an internal battle, like trying to make a child like clean their room. That's what it's going to feel like until you get past the point of doing it enough where it's just second nature. Like eventually you're just going to be like, oh, it's 3:00, time to go to the gym. You won't think twice about it. It does take a minute to get there, but once you're there, life is so much easier. And the discipline's going to carry over to other places of your life too. Like I am a much harder worker just in general because I built those discipline skills in the gym and in the kitchen. And now if I have work that needs to be done, if there's something I need to do, I don't think twice about it. I'm just like, this is something that I need to do, so I'm going to do it. So that's totally my biggest piece of advice when it comes to discipline, is just fight your brain until it gets on board with what you really want. And then a third, the next positive to come out of my fitness journey, is having something that is truly always going to be there for you. I can't tell you how many times I've been super anxious, going through a breakup, mad at a friend or something, and the gym is there. I know that I can, put on my workout clothes, put some angry music in my ears and go lift, and I'm going to feel better, and it's always going to be there for me. Like the gym is not going to cheat on you. The gym is not going to betray you. The gym is not going to walk out on you. The gym is always there for you. And I like that about it because you can go weeks, months, years without lifting, but the second that you need it, the second that you need that release, it's going to be there for you. And so that is the other thing that's come out of my fitness journey. Anytime that I am feeling any type of way, instead of an unhealthy coping mechanism, I now have the gym. I can now go and just sweat it out, lift some heavy weight, and not feel the need to eat bad foods or drink alcohol or anything like that. I mean, sometimes I do those things, but for the most part, if I don't use it as a coping mechanism, I can just go to the gym instead and get out, whatever feelings that I have that day to get out. And then finally, the next positive thing I've gained from starting this fitness journey is the community and the people that you meet. That's one thing I really wasn't expecting. I thought I would go into the gym and just be solo. It's not a team sport, I thought I would just be going to the gym, not really meeting anyone, doing my own thing. And I do that, but I've met so many amazing people through bodybuilding and through going to the same gym every day that it really does build like such a great community. Even like through Instagram, that's like my favorite thing is people I've never even met are hyping me up about my progress, and I'm sending them messages, and we're sharing recipes and supplements that we like. And it just opens this door to this whole community that you might not have ever known before. And I will say gym people are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. They are all disciplined, they're positive, they want to help each other. So if you're ever intimidated to go to the gym, just know that the people that are like really committed and dedicated and that you're probably scared of are definitely some of the nicest, most amazing people ever. So that is another thing that I love about this. It's just the community that you build, the friends you'll make. Don't be afraid to ask questions and go to people who have done what you want to do, because guarantee like they will want to share what they've done and help you progress too. So that is another huge plus that's come out of my fitness journey. Now, let's talk about some of the negatives. And again, I want to bring up the negatives, not to scare anyone or to discourage anyone from taking on a fitness journey or getting in the gym, because truly it changed my life. It's made me such a better person. I'm less anxious. I'm less depressed. I have an outlet for things. It's amazing. I absolutely recommend going to the gym. But if you can avoid some of these things, it'll be even better for you. So let's talk about some of the negatives that have come out of my fitness journey for me personally. So the first one is for anyone who tends to take an all or nothing approach to anything in life, you have to be very careful with the gym and eating healthy. Very easily, it can become, if I don't work out 7 days a week, I shouldn't work out at all. It can become, if I'm not eating super clean, I might as well blow my diet and eat whatever I want the rest of the week. It can become, if I take one day off or I don't feel good, then I might as well just not try this week. That's super easy to fall into. But I promise that there is a gray area. Think of your weekly calorie budget as a weekly budget. So let's say you messed up one day and you went over by like 200 calories. Don't look at that and be like, wow, I failed. Let me go order a pizza and get some ice cream and drink a bottle of wine. No. You only went over 200 calories. First of all, it's not going to make a difference. But if you go and binge on all those foods, then yes, now it has made a difference. But you still have to think of it as a weekly budget. So you still have the rest of the week to get back on track, get back to your normal, scheduled plans, get back to eating well and exercising, and it's all going to even out, and it's really not a big deal. You're not going to be able to tell on the scale. You're not going to be able to look at yourself and be like, wow, I overate by 200 calories. No, it's really not going to matter. What does matter is that you don't completely go off the deep end just because you went over by like 200 calories. So that's the big thing about black and white thinking. There is gray area, and it's always better to stay in the gray than to go way off onto one other end of things. Another thing that happened to me when I first started my fitness journey was the obsession with never missing a day. And that can lead to missing out on some times with family, sometimes with friends. I was in a relationship with someone who was also a big gym person, and it ended up being like every time we were on a trip or something, we had to go to the gym, and it would take up like 4 hours of our day to get ready and go to the gym and whatever. And you just miss out on so much life when you're like scared that if you take 2, 3, even a week off, that you're going to lose all your muscle. Doesn't work like that. Life is happening, so enjoy life and don't spend it all in the gym. That is my biggest piece of advice there as far as all or nothing thinking goes. Next, disordered eating. This can probably be its whole podcast, and I might do one on this, but be careful when you start tracking your calories. If you're someone who is going to take things to an extreme, maybe just track protein. Don't track your calories. It can easily become a game of how low can my MyFitnessPal show my calories today. I got into that trap. I don't recommend it. It's not fun to come out of. It's not good for you. It won't make you progress faster. It will actually lead to binging, and it is not fun. So my biggest piece of advice there to avoid that is just track your protein. Try to aim for 1 gram of protein per pound that you weigh, and that will make it a lot easier to not just track calories and think, wow, if it's not under this number, then I'm not losing weight today. Same thing with a scale. Don't step on the scale every single day and beat yourself up over the number on it. It's going to fluctuate so much, especially for women. So don't worry about it. I literally wouldn't worry about the scale. Worry about how are your lifts feeling? Do you feel strong? Are you getting stronger? Do your clothes fit different? Are you sleeping better? Do you have more energy? Look for those as signs of progress if you're someone that's going to get a little obsessed with numbers on scales and numbers as far as calories go. And the next negative is body dysmorphia. This is when you can't really see your body for what it actually is. And this definitely happened to me when I started lifting. I started picking apart parts of my body that I didn't even realize I had. I didn't ever care before about the insertion point of my bicep. And then I started bodybuilding and I was like, oh my God, it's too high. I wish it was closer to my elbow. That's insane. That's not, that's not healthy thinking. And so it goes further than just before you start working out, you might be like, oh, I wish I was a little more toned, a little thinner. Then you start lifting and then you start thinking things like that. I wish this tiny muscle had a little bit more size and was here and whatever. That's an easy trap to fall into too. Again, it helps if you just prioritize, am I getting stronger? Am I able to lift more? Am I able to lift heavier? Am I able to run for a longer amount of time? Those are all great markers of progress that don't have to do with the mirror. The mirror can be tricky. Another thing that was a total negative that I shouldn't have done that made things worse for me was body checking. So that's when you let's say you do an hour of cardio, then you go in the mirror and you check and look to see if your abs look any different. That's not healthy. If you're looking in the mirror every hour to see if your body's changing, not healthy, okay? I've done that too. The best thing you can do is take 1 weekly progress picture. So let's say every Sunday morning, you get up, before you eat anything, you take a picture of you standing in the same position. That is so much better and healthier and a much better way of gauging progress than every couple hours looking in the mirror, seeing if you look the way you want to look, because I promise nothing's really changing in a couple hours. That's another piece of advice to avoid the body dysmorphia trap. Don't feel bad if you have body dysmorphia though. It's very, very easy to fall into thinking that you look a certain way when your eyes and your mind is basically lying to you. So my biggest takeaway here is don't rush your fitness journey. All of these things, all the bad things I mentioned happen when you want results overnight, and that's just not going to happen. Fitness, if you do it right, you should be on this journey for the entire rest of your life. It should never stop one day. You're not going to reach your goal one day and be like, okay, great. I never have to eat protein again, never have to go to the gym again, don't have to track my water anymore. I'm all set, I'm fit. That will literally never happen. So there's no rush to get to any certain point of your fitness journey. You don't have to crash diet. You don't have to go to the gym every single day. Start with something that you like to do and that you can stick to 3 to 4 days a week. If you like carbs, don't go on a keto diet. You're not going to stick to it. If you hate running, don't run. If you love Pilates, do that. If you hate weightlifting, then join a spin class. You have to just pick the thing that you're going to be able to stick to, or else you're going to be in this loop forever of why can't I stick to anything? Why isn't anything working? It's because you're forcing something that just isn't going to fit for you. So that's my biggest piece of advice to avoid the negative effects of a fitness journey. Do what you like, it's yours. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's journey. It's all about you and what you want to do. So my friends, those are my biggest pieces of advice today. The positives, the negatives, the good, bad, and the ugly, if you will, of becoming a gym brat. So if you have any questions about anything that I mentioned today, please let me know. I'd love to go into more depth on the body dysmorphia topic and the disordered eating topic because I have a lot of experience with that. And I think we could have a good discussion around it. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to hit on specifically, please let me know in the comments. Okay, and that's about all I have to share today as far as my fitness journey goes. Again, each of these categories could probably be their own episode. So if you're interested in hearing more about any of the positives or negatives that I talked about in today's episode, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel so we can cover those topics. And of course, follow us on Instagram at the Gym Brats Pod. But until next time, drink all your water, eat your protein, don't be afraid to take up space in the gym, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, Gym Brats.